Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
The Rockin' Review is so pleased to bring you the Chief Innovation Officer, and that's a great title. Jim D'Addario, thanks for coming on the Rockin' Review and talking about some of the great things that you guys have going on right now.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You know, you and I have bumped into each other at a number of the NAMM shows over the years, and I've always come by the D'Addario booth to see the new innovations and products you guys came out with. But I'll tell you what really stunned me last year was during this pandemic, Jim, you and a team started making face masks in your factory. You got to tell me about this.
Yeah, actually it was face shields, not the mask, but the clear shields. Yeah. Well, you know, when the pandemic hit, we were, obviously locked down, forced us to stop manufacturing totally. We weren't allowed to manufacture. So the only thing they allowed us to do was have our warehouse open to ship finished goods that we had. And it wasn't very long that we were running out of finished goods. And we were sitting around saying, hey, what could we do to help in the pandemic? And Governor Cuomo, who we have a great relationship with here in New York, they've helped our business, and we've helped create 900 jobs here in the state. We have a really good relationship with them. He was on TV saying, hey, manufacturers in New York, you need to make PPE. So we started talking about what we could possibly do. And as it turns out, by coincidence, the film we use for our Evans G2 two-ply heads, right. 7 mil clear Mylar, is exactly the same type of film that's used on face shields. So I just challenged the team to say, hey, could we use our die cutting equipment, our inventory, and our manufacturing expertise to possibly make face shields, which were in a huge shortage condition at the time. Right. So, and that was about the end of March, first week in April. And in 3 weeks, we had figured out how to make them. And it was kind of an amazing transformation. And we had a team of about 7 of us that we met hours every day virtually because we couldn't come in. And then the state approved us being open for making the face shields only, right? And we were able to bring in a couple of engineers periodically, and we were able to make the tooling and the things we needed in the machine shops we have to make the face shields. So the tricky thing was being able to procure the foam, pad that's in the top, because everybody was demanding all these raw materials and they were in short supply. But fortunately, we were able to get a supply going, and we've made over 2 million of them since April.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the face shields look amazing. I mean, it's once again, having seen and played your Evans heads, to me, to be able to take that kind of technology and apply it to PPE face shields that were obviously needed by so many, first responders working in the field during the pandemic, to really shift your whole production from making, being the world's top producer of accessories to then making PPE face shields. That's a heck of a shift.
Yeah, and we were, when the shortage was really running strong, I would say all the way until maybe October, the demand was more than we possibly could ever make. Now the demand is dried up because there's a huge surplus, and the Chinese are just dumping really crappy face shields at 20 cents a piece and 30 cents. They're horribly made, and they're inferior materials, but people buy on price, and so consequently, our shields, which are of very high quality, are not quite as competitive against the dumping that's going on. But we're still doing all right. But we were making 125,000 a week.
Wow.
For almost 2 months straight. We was just flat out around the clock. Created about 45 jobs during
and also, Jim, that you did this all, you've got such a huge workforce here in the United States. And I think that's always been a great testament to D'Addario, is that you're making the products here, and I like that.
Yeah. I mean, we do import a few things like tuners and some of our accessories that we just can't make here yet. But we've moved a lot of our accessories back to America particularly during the 2008, 9, 10 recession.
Right.
We went out and solicited vendors that were pretty much shutting down or didn't have work, injection molders, metal fabricators. And we were able to, for instance, like move things like our Pro Winder, which is one of our larger selling accessories. We were able to source the blades here and do the injection molding right in-house and assembly and everything. So we moved a lot of stuff, about half of what we were importing from China to America. And now we're on another big kick to do even more. That's been one of my goals in this new position I've just taken on a year ago when I stepped down as CEO. I'm just working on innovation right now and mentoring and coaching. So one of the things that we really are focused on is bringing some more vertical integration in-house for injection molding and assembly of more accessories here in America. So that's my goal.
Well, speaking of which, Jim, you've been with the family company for over 40 years. And I think, you attended your first NAMM show when you were 13. But, now with the, Believe in Music that the NAMM show put on a few weeks ago, you guys rolled out some great new products. And I sat in on some of those meetings, including the new XS strings and your new pedal board.
Yeah, we're excited about those two new products. Those are two of our biggest launches ever. The XS product was 5 years in research. We put millions of dollars into developing the technology to actually take this film and process it, stretch it, process it, add adhesives to it, and slit it so that we could wind this film onto the wound strings and then fuse it. So it's an ultra thin film. It's like 1/10,000th to 2/10,000ths of an inch in thickness, which is like, I don't know, 30th or a 50th of the average human hair, right? And it's microscopic, it's so fine. And then it gets fused in an oven in a nitrogen atmosphere, so there's no oxidation. And you cannot tell by listening that it's a coated string. If I blindfolded you and told you to identify what string was coated on if we had two identical guitars, I would challenge you to be able to tell me.
Well, I think it's such a great innovation too, Jim, because, so many Nashville musicians, myself included, go through a lot of guitar strings. And with the coating, they're going to have a much longer lifespan. And you're not going to have to change your strings as frequently and get that dead sound either.
Yeah, that obviously that's the goal. Everyone's been trying to make better strings and better coated strings and strings that last longer, forever and ever. And I think that we've hit the pinnacle here with this one. It really is. We feel, significantly superior to anything that's been marketed.
And your new pedal board is you can extend it and just slide. So it's not like you have to go buy another pedal board if you're using one for a fly day.
I have one. I have one right here. I have one of the rough prototypes. So you loosen these cams.
Yeah.
And then it just moves up. And we have a 2-row one. A 4 rails 2-row model as well. What's really cool about it it's a really awesome for the dealer network because we only have 2 models, right? A 2-rail and a 4-rail, and it makes every size. So like if you looked at comparable competitors' pedal board lines, they've got 12 to 25 sizes. Mm-hmm. And, we're able to actually do the same thing with 2 models. So it's going to make it really efficient for a dealer to say, wow, I'll get on to Dario's pedal boards. I don't have to inventory half as many, SKUs or, it's much easier for them.
Definitely. Well, and it's incredible to me, Jim, the long history that your family has. And back to 1680, your family was making strings in Italy.
Yes.
And then, with your family still being a family business today, that's a pretty incredible history.
Yeah, we're very proud of that. We work very, very hard on the succession planning and transition from one generation to the other because, frankly speaking, we did not do that great a job when my grandfather turned things over to my father and my father turned them over to us, my brother John and I, and now we're turning it over to the 4th generation in the U.S. Most family businesses fail right in that second generation when you start turning it over to brothers and sisters. You know, when you start turning it over to first cousins and then first and second and third cousins, as each generation builds out, obviously you can imagine it becomes a much more robust group of people with different interests and so on, so that it really required a lot of family business counseling. So we work very closely with a great family business counselor. She's amazing. And, you know, they guide us through a lot of the pitfalls that you would run into as a family business. So we have really, I think, tremendous communication amongst all our family members. The respect is very, very high. Even more so, we try to instill in the respect for the non-family people that work here, because they're vital to this business growing. We have 1,200 people now, and granted, there may be 10 of the family members involved, but there's still 1,200 other families that are involved that we have to make sure that we are treating properly. So, it's a big challenge, and the business counseling really helps.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's so great talking with you, Jim Diodario. Thank you for joining us as the Chief Innovation Officer. And I know you guys are going to have some more great products coming out this year. And once again, helping so many musicians, also with your incredible PPE Face Shields that did so much for our first responders this past year. And can't wait to see the new innovations you come out with coming up.
Yeah, thanks. We're excited about it, and I'm sure you're going to like some of the things we come to market with.
It's so great having you on the show, and thank you for joining the Rock Review.
Sure. Thank you. Have a good day.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of a Bobby Bones Show.